Hello, this is Mr. Hornby83. I am here with my review of Bash at the Beach 1996, the year that Hulk Hogan shocked the world. Now, I'm going to talk about this pay-per-view and see if it's really that good or if it's just the most important part was the Hulk Hogan heel turn. So let's start out with the first match, which was Rey Mysterio versus Psychosis, which the next night led to Rey Mysterio challenging Malenko for the Cruiserweight title, which Rey won. But yeah, this was the best match on the show, I think. Because, Rey Mysterio versus Psychosis. A lot of high-flying spots, a lot of good, action throughout this whole entire match. And like I said, Rey Mysterio wins to challenge Dean Malenko the next night on Nitro. Next up is the dog collar match between Public Enemy and the Nasty Boys. Now, I forgot what really sparked this whole feud. I believe they had been having a rivalry for quite a while with the Nasty Boys, Public Enemy, and I think it culminated at that pay-per-view, and we seen the Nasty Boys pull off the victory over Public Enemy. Or was it Public Enemy? No, Public Enemy, I think, won the match. Yeah. No, Nasty Boys. They beat Public Enemy to win the dog collar match. The next match was Diamond Dallas Page versus, actually I think Page was after. Diamond Dallas Page versus Hacksaw Duggan. This match was for the Battle Bowl that Diamond Dallas Page had won 2 months earlier. This match was, I'd have to say, decent. Diamond Dallas Page was pretty much carrying Jim Duggan because Page is such a great wrestler, and the fact that he took the tape off Duggan, it was supposed to be like a tape fist match, and he took the tape off Duggan, and pretty much the match ended with DDP hitting the Diamond Cutter with the assist of the ropes and retaining the Battle Bowl Championship. So it was supposed to be some kind of tape fist match, but the tape fist didn't play a role in it. Now Duggan afterwards, after the match, balled up his fist with tape, punched him out, because there for a while they had Duggan doing that little routine, which was so stupid. Actually I think the next match was supposed to be, so I kind of went out of order with these matches, but oh well. Next up was John Tenta versus Big Bubba. John Tenta used to be the Shark. He used to be a part of Dungeon of Doom. The Dungeon of Doom turned on him, especially Big Bubba and all them. And Big Bubba, this was a silver quarters, or like quarters on the pole match. The quarters were in the sock. Silver dollar, whatever they were calling it, on the pole. And why they took two big guys like Tenta and freaking Bubba to do this was beyond me. But in the end, it ended up, Jimmy Hart went up to get the sock for Bubba, but Tenta got up, knocked Bubba down. Then Jimmy Hart turned around, he took the sock from Jimmy Hart, pushed him off the pole, and hit Bubba and pinned him for the 1, 2, 3. Now this match was probably the weakest match on the show. As far as I'm concerned, the Big Bubba John Tenta match was just the weakest match on the card. It was just ridiculous how it was a typical big guy match, and that's what I'm going to counter that. A typical big guy match with a pole involved, and luckily Jimmy Hart's skinnier and smaller than the other two guys in the match. But that was pretty much it for that match. Next up was Dean Malenko versus Disco Inferno. I believe Disco Inferno won a #1 contenders match, challenged Dean Malenko for the Cruiserweight title. Dean Malenko this was a pretty good match as well. Dean Malenko did retain the next night on Nitro, though. He loses to Rey Mysterio. In fact, the opening segment was Rey Mysterio versus Dean Malenko the next night on Nitro. which led to Dean Malenko losing the Cruiserweight title, which would lead to him getting the title shot at Road Wild. So, yeah, pretty good match. Dean Malenko came out, had the intensity. Disco Inferno, as they said, really stepped it up during that match. He stepped it up, but he came up short. Dean Malenko retains Cruiserweight title. Next match was Mongo McMichael against Joe Gomez. This was probably the second weakest match on the card. Why this match was happening, I have no clue. But the month prior, Mongo had just joined the Horsemen by turning on Kevin Green at the Great American Bash that year. And it was like an okay match, but it wasn't, nothing spectacular. It could have been on a Nitro or freaking something, but Mongo did win to continue his undefeated streak at the time. So then next up we got Ric Flair versus Conan for the United States title. Now Conan did cut a promo earlier in the night talking about, right after the Rey Mysterio psychosis match, talking about how he hasn't been there long enough. He don't have a posse like Flair does, and blah 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 blah. He's like, I don't know people the way Flair does, which just was kind of, I guess, his way of, getting ready to turn heel, because not too long after this, he joins the Dungeon of Doom, and then he ends up joining the NWO, and I'll talk about those some other times, but yeah. So this was leading into his Dungeon of Doom heel turn, but Conan took on Ric Flair, and there was a lot of interference from Woman and Miss Elizabeth in this match. Also, prior to the match, Flair had an interview, and he botched who he was wrestling, because he's like, Conan, they say you're the man of 1,000 homes. No, that was Dean Malenko, which predicted what Ric Flair was going to do. And then you have Woman flirting with Mean Gene, acting like she's going to sleep with him and all that stuff. So, but yes, this match was really good as well. Conan and Flair really went out there, put on a good show. You could tell there was points in the match where you could tell their chemistry wasn't quite there at certain points of the match, but it didn't affect that match that badly. I think it was pretty interesting with what all happened. There was a lot of shenanigans in it. Like I said, a woman getting involved, Elizabeth getting involved. It was a nice straight up thing. It ended with Woman hitting Conan in the back of the head with the shoe, Flair getting the pinfall victory, and becoming the new WCW US champion. So the next match was Chris Benoit and Arn Anderson versus the Taskmaster, and at the time, the current WCW World Heavyweight Champion, the Giant. This match started out with Anderson and, well, if the Horsemen won, they were one of the Horsemen would have got a shot at the WCW World Heavyweight title the next night on Nitro, which I'll talk about that in a sec. But their plan was to single out the Taskmaster because they believed he was the weak link of the team, because they knew the Giant would just obliterate him. But this was not a bad match either. It was a pretty good match. Anderson and Benoit are coming out, Taskmaster and Giant run up behind them, start beating the crap out of them, and then Mongo comes out, hits the Giant with the Halliburton, and Giant goes to chase him, and Taskmaster was left alone for a few with Anderson and Benoit. He did come back to the ring. Jimmy Hart got him to come back, but Anderson and Benoit kept trying to keep the Taskmaster in and just double team him, because they really want to get Flair the title shot. That's also why Flair fought Conan for the US title the match before this, because Flair wanted to be #1 contender for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship again. Now, this ended with a battle with Benoit and Taskmaster, because they had I think Anderson and Giant were the legal men at the time, because Taskmaster finally got the tag to the Giant, and Arn Anderson got tagged in. And Taskmaster and Benoit continued fighting through the stage area and all that, pretty much picking up where they left off at the last month's pay-per-view Great American Bash, which was the best match on that year's Great American Bash. It ended with giant chokeslamming Arn Anderson. But then after Benoit and Taskmaster were brought outside the ring, they come back to the ring. Giant had left. Arn Anderson was still in the ring. Benoit just started brutally attacking him. And then Woman come out, which just kind of started the love triangle between Woman, Taskmaster, and Benoit in WCW. And said, Chris, stop, you're going to hurt him. Chris, stop, you're going to hurt him. And then there was a point where Arn Anderson reached out to the Taskmaster, but Taskmaster smacked Anderson's hand away. And this pretty much sparked the Horseman Dungeon to do more. That went on for pretty much most of the rest of the year until Flair got injured by the NWO, which I'll talk about here shortly. But yeah, this match was pretty good. Benoit Taskmaster feud continued, and that was an amazing feud of '96. Probably best feud of '96. Next up was the big main event, Team WCW against Team Outsiders, which was Hall and Nash. Sting, Lex Luger, and Macho Man was taking on Hall and Nash. They talked about the third guys there, but they're not ready to come out yet. And then Lex Luger gets taken out of the match by the Stinger Splash when Nash grabs Luger by the thing, and it's like boom, Luger's out of the match. He wasn't even on Nitro the next night for that either. And Sting and Macho Man took on Hall and Nash for a while, but then it got to the point where Macho Man was getting a lot of good offense against the Outsiders, and then Nash low blows Macho Man. Then out of nowhere, after being gone for I'd say about 6 months or so at this point, Hulk Hogan shows back up. Fans erupt. They're happy to see him. Comes out, rips his shirt off. Outsiders run outside the ring like they're gonna run and, like they're scared of Hogan and that. And then boom, Hogan hits 3 leg drops on Macho Man, throws Randy Anderson out of the ring, and Macho Man, that freaking cat, I swear, and pins, and Scott Hall makes the count. So then we get the post-match interview where Hogan told the fans to stick it, and he was tired of being screwed over, and how he made the wrestling business, and blah 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 blah. And something else I got to note, I did not realize this when I first seen this in '96, but Eric Bischoff was not on the show at all that night. And he was the main force fighting against these Outsiders and Hogan, well, the Outsiders in that when this whole thing started. But we didn't find out he joined the NWO and he was leading them in blood, But, so overall, I gotta say this was a pretty good pay-per-view. The only 2 bad matches were the pole match with Tenta and Bubba, and then the McMichael-Gomez match. Those were the only bad matches. Every other match on the show delivered and was pretty good and was worth the watch. But that's pretty much it. The next retro review I will be doing is August. I will get a SummerSlam one though. But the next one I would be doing is the pay-per-view that happened right after this. Hog, I don't know if it was Hog Wild or Road Wild that year, but Hog or Road Wild 96, then I'll do a SummerSlam pay-per-view. I'm not sure which SummerSlam I'll review yet, but I'll let you guys know in the coming days. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.